Hi guys, okay, this is chapter 3 of the Old Skills video series of me and Bear, and we're bringing you some more books and some more information. We're going to try to make this one a little shorter than the last time. I know a lot of you said you enjoyed sitting there, but we'll talk for hours on this, so we're trying to get a little shorter in time. But today I'm going to start out because Bear had the big information last time. I came prepared this time. I had, in one of my recent discussions with somebody, they were saying what would be a good source of books to get for, basic learning. As simple as you can get, written as simple as you can get. And without hesitation, I said the Boy Scout Merit Badge Manuals. Because you look at them and they had, there was poultry. There was one told you how to grow chickens. You had navigation. You had swimming. You had life saving. They had like 80 or 90 badges.
And sadly, a lot of those are gone today.
A lot of them are gone, but
they don't teach them anymore.
You still can find them on eBay and stuff like that where people are getting rid of the old books. And they are a great source, especially when you're starting with a young person. You can go through that. Now, I'm not just recommending the Boy Scouts here, guys. But the Boy Scouts had what they called the Lone Scout idea. And it was the idea of some kid living in the middle of nowhere where there were no other kids around. And where them and a parent could go along and work through all the steps and skills for them to earn the merit badges and things. So that's what you want to kind of look for. Especially if you're going to see how could I bring my kids into this and teach them. Having these little merit badges you can still find everywhere. To be able to plot their progress. Just because you're not in the Boy Scouts doesn't mean you can't use it as a reward, But back to me, one of the best books in the Boy Scout stuff, and you're going to have to look for it. This is the Handbook for Boys, the 1940s edition. I think this one's 1943. And it carries so many woodcraft, bushcraft things. Now, a lot of this stuff is not related to what we're doing, but how to work ropes, how to cook, how to, tie up things, how to make all the knots and everything. This book went much greater detail than, say, later books did. In fact, they simplified it a great deal. Cooking, how to make maps, animal recognition, all kinds of stuff is in here. And I would say probably of this book, you could probably easily say 40 to 50% of it is still relevant today to what we're talking about. Now, I picked this book up off of eBay from a used bookstore type thing for $12. You can look for them. But it's called Handbook for Boys, and it's got the 3 boys on it. Of course, this one's been doodled on. Let me show you the cover real good. This one.
Have you ever seen the Scout Manual that wasn't?
Yeah. But it's got a sailor, it's got a Boy Scout up front, it's got a Cub Scout in the back. He ain't wearing sunglasses. This has been doodled on. But that's the one you're looking for. That's the back of it. I was very impressed with this book when I got it, and I've read all the way through it several times. Like I said, many of the skills that are in here relate directly to what we're talking about being self-reliant. Now, a lot of the other stuff is not so much. But you'll know real quickly, whenever you hit a section like this doesn't apply, you can just skip over it. Now, the book that followed this was the field book. This is the 1944 field book for Boy Scouts. And it has a really good section on plants, plant recognition, and etc. How to navigate, all kinds of things in here. Better understanding of the woods, how to, like this one, how to fly fish, stuff like that. How to hunt, camps, archery, how to swim, how to do ropes, better pictures than the other one, just drawings, but now they're doing pictures. Cooking section, etc. This has some really good information in it as well. Now again, I'd say actually about probably 40% of this manual is relatable to us as opposed to that one. But still, it's a good reference point. And now, this book, Camp and Trail Methods by E. Krebs. Okay, and I'm going to let you get a good one of that. Up here on the top is ISBN number. Okay, this is a reproduction book. And you'll find these on Amazon, eBay, and etc. Now, if you're looking to learn how to build a cabin, I recommend this book. It goes in depth into tents, cabins, woodworking, that stuff. Now, one of my preferences in my book collection is I prefer a first-person type of book. There's this narrow window from the end of the 1800s to about, I'd say, World War II, 1940s. During that time, you still had, in many parts of the country, people that had these skills that we're talking about. They used them on a daily basis of how to can, how to hunt, how to fish, how to camp, how to make rope, how to make fire, how to cut down trees, how to build log cabins, how to do all these what we call pioneer type skills. And the skills would stop being the primary way that people were making a living or were, branching out into the wilderness and starting a homestead with nothing. And technology was catching up where now you could go easily find in most places store-bought lumber. You could go find nails. You were more likely to travel by a car than by a mule or a horse. And so you're seeing a transition. And in that time period, you have a lot of people like Nesmunk and Horace Kephart and Krebs and Prosecki, Baden-Powell, and all of these that are trying to document these skills that they learned as young men and are now going away. They're being lost. That's one of the reasons I really focus on them and enjoy those books, because they're being written from experience. It's not somebody that did a academic search through libraries and then they're compiling and making up their own book. This is actually people with hands-on real-world experience trying to share that experience. Now, like in this one, he's a northern climate, and he goes into how to make snowshoes and stuff like that. You guys up north, that might apply to you. But it's how to hunt, how to fleshing beans, stuff like that. A lot of these really good first-person books are trying to pass on a skill set that they had. And as I've mentioned in my Master Woodsman series, a Master Woodsman is someone that thrives in their environment. Now, me here in the South, me and Bear, we're Southern woodsmen. So we deal with heat, we deal with very dense jungle-like woods. We are surrounded by water everywhere, so we don't have to worry too much about finding water.
No,
Wild
just purifying it.
Yeah. The big thing is having to cross it every couple minutes when you're walking. Wild game and animals is everywhere down here, so we really have an advantage over certain others. Now, if you took us to, say, Ohio, many of the skills we would have would translate, but there would also be a learning curve because plants would be slightly different. The weather and the temperatures are slightly different. I would have to adapt to the cold climate just like they would have to adapt to our hot climate. And so where you're at in the country, try to focus on books that focus on your zone.
Do you.
And do you.
Do you.
Do you. I am very happy to understand how to build a snowshoe. The odds of me ever having to use a snowshoe are pretty slim,
But there's always that one little ice storm that comes down here and just...
Well, we shut down the whole state so we can celebrate it. So it's kind of like Mardi Gras for us. It snowed.
3 snowflakes and the whole world shuts.
Yeah, we shut down the state because we got to go play in that, But it's the same thing, the guys up north, they're not used to our heat. And now they're getting places up there that are getting our kind of heat. I had a good friend of mine that was talking about how it was 102 up there in Maine. Last year I think it was. And they're not used to that kind of heat. I had friends in Alaska that were talking about 80s and 90s, and they're not used to that heat. So they were asking me, how do you stay cool in this extreme environment? Just like I'd be asking them how they stay warm in that extreme environment. So do you focus on the books? You want to try to focus on at least your zone of the country if possible. Look at all of them, because you never know when you're going to have some piece of information. I recently got a book, I believe, I'm probably going to quote it wrong, guys, I did not bring it, but it was like the Prairie Traveler Companion. I want to say that.
By William Marcy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
I
talks.
was going to talk about that book in a minute.
Yeah, but it's a good book, but it's mostly, a lot of it, over half the book's about horses and how to rig stuff up. You know, wouldn't apply too much to me, but would be real handy in the library in a world go to poo-poo and suddenly you got to figure out how to use an old wagon or something like that. If the world ever went back to that, we're going to need this information. So, all right, that's what I got. Now, turning it over to Bear.
Building on what he was saying about that book, a lot of you out there will remember the miniseries Centennial that was out in the late 70s, early 80s time frame. Well, there was a character in that movie named William Marcy. He was an Army captain, and he was sent west by, I think it was President Fillmore, to plot a route through the mountains to Oregon and California. That's what he did. Well, he's based on a real guy whose name was William B. Marcy. And William Marcy was an engineer, a captain of engineers in the 1840s and 50s. And he traveled all over the West, opening up trails for settlers to come in behind him.
Because 1840s was the end of the mountain man era.
Yeah.
Where the mountain men had gone out there in the teens and 20s all the way up to the early 40s.
Yeah.
We're talking about rendezvousing. These mountain men had got out there, and now that this Army captain's coming in, he can find these guys that have 10, 15 years experience in these mountains and know the pass through the mountains. That's important.
It is. And it gave the old guys an income because they became scouts. But his book, it's got a lot of really good information in it. You know, for kicks and giggles, if you want to take a wagon and retrace the Oregon Trail, he'll tell you how to do it. But also, he can tell you how to go from point A to point B under adverse conditions and not starve to death doing it. Which is, you know, if you boil it down, that's what you're looking for. Or, you know, you can place it, there are ways to store food that we don't know because the information's been lost that will make it last decades. We talked about pemmican. The difference between pemmican lasting a month and a half and lasting 53 years is the addition of tallow to the meat and the omission of fruits and nuts. There's been pemmican found in out in the desert Southwest in jars in the cave dwellings that was 200-300 years old and was still completely edible because that's what pemmican does.
It was the hard ration. You tried
Yes.
to find something else, but it was the fallback when there is nothing else. You
Absolutely.
had it.
We're not going to go into pemmican in this one.
No.
We've been talking about gardening, and today I've been working in my little bitty garden. I'm trying to put some of this into use. They grow all you can eat in 3 square feet.
All right, let me see it.
And what we're doing is I'm taking off part of my backyard and I'm planting several different vegetables, pairing them off. Some of you may or may not know that tomatoes and peppers love each other because they're both nightshades. But if you plant a squash plant close to them, they will kill the squash plant. because they don't like squash. They don't play well with others. But, you know, we're going to take my gardening attempt and weave it into future videos to show that, yeah, even I can do it, and I'm not very green-thumbed. But anyway, that's what I've been doing today. I have been to the extension office and picked up some information about small-scale meat production, and a very good source of meat production, of backyard meat production, and I got this from the Alabama Cooperative Extension Service, is backyard production production of rabbits. But if you look at who put it out, it's Texas A&M. Like I said, this information is all over the country if you just go look for it.
And that's what we spoke about earlier, about going to your local state ag,
Yeah.
you know, type
Your
extension.
local extension office.
And they'll have this information. And so you can grow the plants, but if you want to also grow meat, you can do bunny
Yeah.
rabbits. They're fast producing and produce meat. Fishing, like we're talking about, produces meat, but I need something in my backyard that could be producing, and rabbits are quick and easy to do. I know a lot of people are going to go, ooh, I don't want to have to kill something. Unfortunately, if you want to eat, you got to kill something.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that those little foam containers at your local grocery store or Walmart or whatever, wherever you choose to shop, they didn't just appear out of thin air. They were out grazing in the grass, and somebody put them down and processed them and put them into your little container that you took home for supper.
When I was a little boy, I remember feeling kind of sad about the fact that we were having to harvest it with goats at that time.
Right.
There were too many goats, and so we were going through and they were taking out 8 or 10 of the goats to put in the freezer, make barbecue out of, and let the ones they wanted to keep growing.
Right.
And the ones that were whatever. And I felt, being a small boy, I felt a little bad about that. I felt kind of sad about it. And I remember my granddaddy sitting me down. He understood. He wasn't scolding or nothing. He let me get it out, and he said that unfortunately there's one rule, son. And as he said it, he said when the Almighty made the world, he made it where nothing lives without feeding upon the dead of something else. The plants are living off of the dead that's fallen in the ground, and everything eats something else by killing it. And their method of killing it is ripping it apart with claws and teeth. Our method is much cleaner and more humane.
Yes.
So,
definitely. And please don't name your food. If you go to raise rabbits or if you go to raise pigs or goats or whatever, don't name your food. It makes it a lot easier in the long run.
yeah.
But that having been said, this is from Texas A&M.
I'll show you that up close.
I was trying to see, I've got something from University of Pennsylvania somewhere. I can't find it. This is about rabbit heat, protecting rabbits from heat. They're very susceptible to heat.
Down here in our southern area, it would be that is very true. At the same time, I know you guys up there north would have to protect them from cold.
Yes, definitely. This is plans for a rabbit hutch from Auburn. But the cool thing about this is it's dated 1972. So these drawings are 50 years old, but they're just as viable today as they were 50 years ago.
It would be it's designed with the idea for you to construct your own hutch to keep bunnies and stuff like that. It's blueprints, drawings, gives you the size, the listing of everything you're going to need, what kind of plans you're going to need to do, and how you're going to do it. Along this line, chicken tractors,
Yes.
which is just simply a movable chicken cage that you see down here a lot in small scales, and it's about as wide as this table, maybe this long, maybe a little bit longer often, and it'll have a set of wheels on one end, and on this end will be a little chicken house, and it's about that high, and there's chicken wire all the way around it. On this end there's a pair of handles to pick it up, and you scoot it around on the grass like a wheelbarrow.
Right.
So you let the chicken sit here and eat all the bugs and stuff out of the grass.
And fertilize the grass.
And fertilize the grass, and then every 2 or 3 days you pick it up and move it like 10 feet and set it back down. And so you're constantly moving them around and you're feeding them. So they're fertilizing your yard, they're giving you eggs. Those are going to be in the little hutch thing up here. You have a door on the back you can open up where you can reach in and get the eggs out. So you're getting eggs, you're fertilizing your yard, and you're keeping your handful of chickens protected from hawks and things like that. And when it comes harvest time and you're going to take a couple of them out, you can do it pretty easy.
They also have boxes, brooder boxes on the back side of them where the handles are in most cases, so that you can get the eggs. If you don't want to have chicks, get your eggs. Yard eggs are delicious. I love them. I prefer them to store-bought all day long. This is some more information about rabbits from 4-H. For those of you who don't know, 4-H is an agricultural club for younger children, and I believe that comes from Alabama A&M specifically. Yeah, it's put out by both A&M and Auburn. Excuse me.
So it's one of those things where I had somebody in the earlier video say, talking about gardening. I like bucket gardening. Bear here has got land. He wants to put it out in the land. We both have advantages and disadvantages, but you're only growing vegetables. And a lot of people say, I don't like vegetables that much. I don't like salads. It's amazing what you get used to whenever you're hungry.
Yeah, when you're hungry, it's amazing what looks.
Man, it's awesome then.
All right, these are some more information that I got from the Extension Service. This is 4-H pig production, and the 4-H actually has contests where the children who participate will raise feeder pigs, and they will go to your state fair or will go to your county fair and will be judged. Their pig will be judged with all the others, and they will be awarded ribbons. And then the child can choose to have the animal processed, which is what they're training to do in the long run anyway, or take it home and let it live out happily playing in the front yard.
I've known several 4-H pigs and things that, although they had pigs for slaughter, Susie or Tommy or Bucket or whatever, Butterfly was he got a nice long life out of it. So.
And don't let anybody fool you. Pigs are incredibly smart.
As smart as a dog, if not smarter.
They're smarter. I've heard they're smart as like an 8-year-old child, a full-grown boar or sow. And if you've ever come up against them in the woods hunting, up against feral hogs, don't let your guard down. They can be very disagreeable when they're pushed.
And they do not miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, they are not dumb.
Yeah, it's like my granddad used to say about his mule, that he loved her, but she was looking for 18 different ways to kill him at one time.
Yeah.
But anyway, 4-H material, it's readily available, it's kid-friendly. Well, I'm trying to stress kid-friendly. I've got 4 of my own and 3 grandchildren. Here's some plans from Auburn, and they were made in, if I'm not mistaken, these are from 1958, but they still work. That's the key.
Very little has actually changed, but this is a diagram for a pig pen, how you would build a stall to keep pigs in. So.
And it's available through your extension office. It may not be these exact drawings, but drawings are available.
Something comparable to give you an idea how to do it.
Yeah.
And where these are really invaluable is you decide, I want to put in bunnies, okay? If you look around your local area on Facebook or something and say, hey, I'm looking for bunnies for something like that, somebody will contact you.
Oh yeah, I did that the other day. I picked up 2 just like that.
I mean, because he may already have a breeding population, see, and rather than slaughtering for meat, he'll sell you his extra bunnies, see. He wants to keep 10 for breeder and he's got 16 right now. He'll sell you those 6. But unless you know this, how to take care of them, the type of fence and etc. And stepping back to that pig, a pig is a lot smarter than a dog. And you think that, well, you know, I've already got a dog pen out here. He'll be out of that thing in 10 minutes.
Listen, having grown up in the cattle industry, all right, I've had hogs, I've had pigs, we've had chickens. A fence is just a suggestion on where the animal needs to stop.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But I told you I had something from Penn State. This is it. It's called Agricultural Alternatives, and this one specifically is about swine production because that's what I was looking for. But a good resource that our ag agent recommended to me was swine, SWINE .extension, EXTENSION.org. And he said that that's a really good source for information. I think that's a national website.
Now, something that our local ag agent pointed out to us, it was that. He said if you add the word extension, so if you put a search for, say, gardening for tomatoes, extension, then this type of database can show up on yours. So you can Google it, but it said always add the word extension and you're getting the extension. It's kind of like you're saying Google this library. Yeah. Extension is a library, so to speak,
yeah, it tells
of
you
ag stuff.
Which set of files to go into.
Yeah.
So that you can pick it up. Now the last thing that I have today is a book that was recommended by Roy Underhill, and he's used it a lot on his program. It's by a gentleman named Joseph Moxton, who lived in England at the end of the 1600s. And this book, this is a reproduction of a book that was printed in 1703. So it's going to have some, you know, some type in it that's not going to look right.
The way they spell things may look a little odd, but if you hit a word like that, just say it as best you can, and quite often you'll know what the modern equivalent was. Back in the 1700s, you'd find listed cockamamie, which actually meant cucumber, but the way they spelled it with their accent, it looks like when you write it, it looks like cockamamie. Right. But if you just say cockamamie, then you come to, I mean cucumber, you know.
But this book has a valuable resource. It is a valuable resource for things like blacksmithing, joinery, which is the taking two boards and placing them together, making them fit and become one joint essentially. There is turning, like on the lathe, turning wood. There's a whole section on it. House carpentry. There is bricklaying. If you want to just get out in the backyard and build a retaining wall, this book will tell you how to do it.
A brick barbecue place.
Yeah,
It'll tell you how to do it.
Or how to put in a grill for cooking hamburgers. You can just use the information in here as you need it and interpret it as you need it. But it's a very good source. It's available on the internet, on Amazon. That's where I got mine.
But like we talked about earlier, the whole purpose of this series is to give you an idea of where to go and where to look. Whatever the project you're wanting to work on, the whole purpose of this series is to give you an idea where to look. The road to wisdom begins with the statement, I do not know.
Yes.
I do not know nearly anything about how to raise ostriches. But I bet you, having said that, if I'll just start putting in ostrich extension and stuff like that, there's going to be books on it. There's going to be some sort of reference to it for raising them for meat. Here where we're at in Alabama, about
20 years ago.
Well, not even 20 years ago, about 20, 25 miles from here, back over toward Ox.
Yeah.
That guy, he had over 2,000 ostriches. He was raising for meat and eggs. And then we had a tornado come through and tore up the fence, and his ostriches got loose. And so we had people wild ostriches in their woods while they were deer hunting for a couple of years there. That sucker's got a big drumstick on him. So it can be done. But anyway, there's the book. And there's the ISBN right there. The whole thing that we're trying to give you guys an idea right now is pick you where you want to go with this. The simplest thing that I recommend people to do to begin with is A, learn to do bucket gardening, because it's not a whole lot of money. They're very easy to move around.
Or raised beds.
Or raised beds.
Yeah.
If you like it enough, then yeah, go with the raised beds. It's a lot more work, but it is nice to get them up.
One of the things in my backyard, I have a cattle trough that I repurposed as a planter and was very successful. I haven't used it this season. I was trying to go down to the 3 square feet concept and build up from there. But
if you created the size of a bed,
yes.
now that being either if you have a double, a queen, or a king, we'll just say a king size bed because that's an idea you can reference in your head right now. You can grow enough produce in a king size bed area
7 feet by 7 feet
to easily handle most of your needs. You'll handle vegetables, salads. You get a lot of meals out of that. And if you rotate it around, where like I said, I've got tons of squash right now. I bring some out to eat. The rest I go ahead and process and I freeze it. Then I go through the others. As the year goes by and I've had enough squash now, we've been eating it for 2.5 months, those in my freezer I can pull out and can to put up and have them for a couple of years. And I got room in my freezer now for what is in season right now. And you see how I'm building up my larder as I go. I want more of these, great. Me and my wife 1 year, and okay guys, how redneck are you? My wife put up 60 quarts of boiled peanuts. That's right, here in the South we boil peanuts until they're soft and we eat them. You can freeze them and they will put up for probably a year, frozen.
easy.
Easy. And so she so loved boiled peanuts. And we got a deal where somebody had dug a bunch of peanuts and had one of the big peanut wagons, and it had broken. The wagon had actually broke its back.
Yeah, you need to come get your peanuts now.
And he had gone down there and he had shoveled out in that heat until he was sick of it. And he called us up and told us we could have what we wanted out of it. So we backed up the pickup truck and took a scoop. And every day I'd get home from work and she'd have boiled peanuts for a snack. She loved boiled peanuts that much. And we had a little bitty chest freezer and she put up 60 quart bags of peanuts. Buddy, I'm here to tell you, I got sick of boiled peanuts. She never did, but I did. But come the next year when peanuts started coming back out, right before it, she went to handing out bags of peanuts to make room in the freezer. Because now we had other things available. So the whole idea is rotation and working. Well, I think that's enough for this info.
I did have one more comment.
Throw it out there.
About the scout manuals. The 1910 original is available in reproduction. Highly recommend you get it. It is where all of this starts. You'll be able to figure out what's good and what's not for you, what is for you and what's not for you. Just dig a little bit. Put a little sweat equity into it, and you'll have good results. Our farm dogs have showed up.
And she's got a tick on her nose and she won't let me get her. We turn the camera off, man, and we'll get her and get that tick off her nose. So anyway, guys, appreciate your time. Please leave any questions or comments and any information you're looking for. If you're looking for information on something, put it down there. We'll see if we can give you an idea, or at least give you the best idea we can to kind of guide it for you. Okay? So put it down there in the comments. Bear, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll do another one pretty soon. Till then, till next time, guys, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button before you go. Till next time, I'm Blackie, and this is Bear. Saying safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.